All right. Just to kick things off, Vice Mayor Watson asked to be excused for illness this evening. Short notice, it creeped up on her in the household. So with that, she will not be in attendance this evening. And I do believe that Commissioner Jason Miller is en route. He's running late. A train? Go figure. No. All righty. First item on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda. Commissioners, have you had a chance to review that?
I move that we approve.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That motion carries. All right, first item of our regular agenda this evening is a community development block grant. And
Thank
kick
you.
that off?
Thank you. I'll kick it off, and then I'll defer to the multiple stakeholders and representatives who came to talk about this project this evening. I will kick it off with one of Newton's oldest parks. Themian Park has long served as a shared community asset supporting youth recreation, school athletics, and neighborhood activity. Recognizing the need for facility improvements, leadership from the Railer Foundation, the city, the Newton Rec Commission, USD, and USD 373 began discussions about developing a coordinated plan. A joint committee appointed by USD 373, NRC, and the City Commission met multiple times to review needs, evaluate design concepts, and align priorities. The committee ultimately approved a final conceptual layout and recommended formalizing the partnership through an interlocal agreement. The organizations entered into an agreement regarding Themian Park renovations approved by the Kansas Attorney General's Office in July of 2025. The original agreement required full funding of the $1.8 million project before work could begin. Due to a shortage of funds and the availability of a new small cities community development block grant, also known as CDBG, opportunity, the parties requested an amendment to the original interlocal agreement. The amendment allowed the project to move forward in phases rather than requiring full upfront funding. Under the amended agreement, the city hired Gary Holler of Schaefer Architecture. He was able to provide us with a cost estimate for all three phases, a preliminary engineering report for phase 1, and an updated project rendering with alternatives. It also stated that the original $1.8 million commitment would be split into phases rather than requiring the full upfront funding. Phase 1 was anticipated to be $1 million with approximately 20% match, with a minimum 20% match requirement under CDBG guidelines. Funding, and also that the funding responsibilities between the parties would not change. The amendment clarified process and timing, but it preserved the original partnership structure and financial responsibilities. The updated estimated project cost for the project is $892,980. The CDBG grant request is for $507,934. Today, we're holding the public hearing as required under CDBG. The purpose of the public hearing is to inform the community that the city and its partners intend to apply for a grant and will provide an opportunity for the public to speak and provide feedback. We have a few guests here. I'm going to turn it over to Gary Holler with Schaefer Architecture, Joel Smith with the Railer Foundation, and Ed Bonham, our Public Works Director, to talk about the details of the project. And when we're done with that, then we'll turn it over to Rosemary to wrap up the CDBG requirements. So I don't know if Joel and Gary, if you want to come up to the podium and give us a little bit of the rundown of phase 1.
Okay, I'm Joel Smith, representing the Railer Foundation, one of the board members. There's 6 of us on the board. If you don't know about the Railer Foundation, we're just a community organization that supports our youth sports organization. So we do that through scholarships, just helping kids break down barriers as far as financial stuff goes, equipment, and then in this case would be helping with facility improvements. So we did a improvement at Gillespie Park just recently too, and so we're working on the Themian Park project as well. So how did we get to this point? It really was 4 or 5 different people or organizations from the beginning that were reaching out to the Santa Fe principal about things they wanted to do to the park. So you had the Girl Scouts wanted to do something there, and they did the picnic table. A church was reaching out, wanting to do a service project there. And then myself, I wanted new basketball goals there. And then Brad Cook wanted the soccer fields. And then you had the rec center jump in with the pickleball courts as well. So it was really all of us not knowing we were wanting to do this and going to the principal. And so out of that birthed the committee of from the school district, the city, and the rec center came together. And what did we all see in the park? We saw a perfect location for a place for improvements. We saw just a place right in the center of town, right next to Santa Fe, just the perfect location to make improvements in the park. We're the primary fundraiser for the park, and we've raised about $230,000 to this point for the project. We have several other things that we're working on. We do a golf tournament, which will raise funds for that, and then several other grants that we're working on as well as private donations. So Gary's going to talk about the site plan.
I am. Gary Holler with Schaefer Architecture. And I'll kind of go through the phases and the site plan you see on the screen there. Over on the east side, we'll have 3 pickleball courts. And then just below that, there'll be 2 basketball courts, and those will be lit with fencing around them. Also to the east a little bit along the street there will be a restroom facility, and as well as sewer connection to the sewer main and concrete around it. Also in phase 1 will be a shelter, which you kind of see there. It's the red kind of square there, kind of in the middle, with concrete around it, as well as the kind of the path to the shelter. That'll also be a part of phase 1. Phase 2 will concentrate on the soccer field, which is the north end there. That'll be a turf soccer field, approximately 150 feet by 100 feet. That's not quite a regulation soccer size field, but it's good enough for little kids. And turf is much needed in this community. Over to the west side will be 2 baseball fields, which will have fencing for the backstops and then fencing along 2 sides, but no fencing in the outfield. We wanted that to be open so that you're allowing other things to happen in the park, not really fence off for the baseball field. I think if they had an official game there, they'd probably bring in a portable outfield, I'm assuming. Phase 3 then would be the parking in the northeast corner there, and that's approximately 68 cars for that area. That's all I had for the site plan. If you have any questions on the site plan, I'd be happy to answer them.
Ed, is there anything that you need to add about the park?
I think Gary and Joel covered most of it. The big piece from the city side is a lot of in-kind help, and then making sure that we get the backbone in there with the utilities, the bathroom, the sewer connections. So beyond that, I think they covered it all, did really well.
There's been a few meetings to get to this point.
Yes. Quite a few.
Okay, well, now I'm going to turn it over to Rosemary. Rosemary is from Ranson Financial, and she's been leading us down the path to successfully get this grant. So go ahead, Rosemary.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As has been stated, you saw the potential layout of the project. We did publish the notice in the local newspaper to inform the public of this public hearing tonight, which is a requirement of the application. Now at this point, if you so wish to have us pursue the Community Development Block Grant funding, we have a couple of resolutions that we need you to consider and hopefully pass. And basically, the first one will be that you have the authority to apply for this application. And the reason you have the authority to do that is only cities and counties can apply for CDBG funding directly. That is why we have the interlocal agreement with the other funding partners and that, because the city has to be the lead applicant on this. And then the second resolution that you need to review, consider, and approve is to tell Community Development Block Grant that once this is built, you will operate and maintain it and be good stewards of the project. And that's so.
Very good. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing, right?
Yeah, you can now open it for comment, and then when we finish the hearing, then we can consider those two resolutions, sir.
Very good.
All right?
At this time, I declare the public hearing open. It is 7:11 p.m. Is there anybody that wishes to comment on this? Hearing none, and I declare the public hearing closed. I'll bring the discussion back to the bench. Commissioners, any discussion?
Well, I think we all have a pretty clear understanding of what's going on.
All right.
Denise, do you have a resolution number?
I do. G-1374.
I move we approve G-1374.
And that's to certify the legal authority to apply for this? All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Next item would be for a resolution assuring the Kansas Department of Commerce that the funds will be continually provided.
That would be G-1375.
I move that we approve G-1375.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. All righty. That's the end of that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item this evening is to receive the year-end reports from Health Ministries, CVB, my screen went away, Main Street and Meridian Center. So we will go ahead and start with Health Ministries. I believe Matt Schmidt is here.
Thank you. As I get started, I was just thinking about just a comment on that previous item. I happen to live over on East 2nd Street, on 2nd Magnolia. And since that park was done there at the school, I'm amazed every evening at how full it is. I mean, it's just, I mean, it doesn't matter actually even what the weather is. It is constantly in use. I mean, I think that was just an example of a project that was just perfect, and it's fun to see all the energy and laughter that's coming from that space.
It's great feedback. Thank you.
Again, thank you. My name is Matthew Schmidt. I'm the CEO at Health Ministries Clinic. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to share a brief update on Health Ministries Clinic and the impact of your investment. I also want to voice my appreciation for the long-standing support that this commission has shown Health Ministries Clinic. I do want to start by acknowledging one of the most important roles you play as a commission, being good stewards of taxpayer dollars, making sure those dollars are are used wisely, effectively, and for the direct benefit of the citizens of Newton. I don't need to tell you all that, but I do want to be very clear that in my belief, the funding the city allocates to Health Ministries Clinic does exactly that and does it exceptionally well. What the city provides to HMC is best viewed as a strategic investment that produces a strong return in two key ways. First, in quality of life and healthcare access for our residents, and second, in economic impact and outside dollars brought into this community. Many of you, especially those of you who have served on this commission for some time, are already aware that the dollars that we receive from the city are unique. They matter not just for what they fund locally, but for what they unlock. City support demonstrates local commitment, which is essential for both federal and foundation funding. That local investment allows us to compete successfully for federal and foundation grants that bring millions of dollars from outside the community into Newton and Harvey County. In that sense, your investment is multiplied many times over. Turning to direct impact, In 2025 alone, Health Ministries clinics served nearly 16,000 unduplicated patients and completed almost 58,000 visits. Over half those patients live right here in Newton, and nearly 3/4 live in Harvey County. About 31% of the people we served were either on Medicaid or uninsured, meaning access to care would have been limited or delayed without a community health center. But access to health care is about more than appointments. It's about removing barriers. Last year, our transportation department drove over 83,000 miles to help patients get to appointments or access medications. We delivered more than 10,000 prescriptions, provided formal translation services for over 2,000 visits, assisted families with insurance enrollment, offered free sports physicals, operated a mobile clinic, and held outreach events across the community. Each of those services represents someone who didn't fall through the cracks. Your investment also produces a clear economic return. In 2025, we added 10 new positions, bringing our total workforce to 270 employees. Nearly half live in Newton, and more than 60% live in Harvey County. These are stable healthcare jobs with competitive wages and benefits, jobs that support families and keep dollars circulating locally. We also continue to respond directly to community need. One example is our dental expansion. By increasing capacity from 6 to 14 operatories, including a specialized operatory for wheelchair-bound patients, we reduced dental wait times for new patients from 6 months to about 2 weeks. Ultimately, what your investment supports is something foundational, a community health center that ensures health care access regardless of ability to pay, reduces strain on emergency services, improves health outcomes, and strengthens the overall health of the city. So when we talk about taxpayer dollars, I know I'm biased, but I truly believe that this money is well spent. It improves quality of life, strengthens the local economy, and leverages outside funding that benefits Newton far beyond the original investment. On behalf of Health Ministries Clinic, thank you for your continued partnership, your trust, and your commitment to this community.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
What a great report.
Thank you. I thought you'd like that version versus the 2-hour versions.
I've sat through your 2-hour versions. Awesome. Next report will be from CVB. Jen, you made it? All right.
Hello. I just got in from Topeka, so I apologize for being a little late today. So I get to report on the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am part-time Convention and Visitors Bureau, and part-time Main Street is my position here at the city. And I always say that I have the best job because I get to build community and have fun with people almost every single day. So I love what I get to do and getting to basically tell everybody why Newton is an amazing place to come visit and to live. This past year, so a lot of the funding for this comes from transient guest tax for hotel stays, Airbnb stays, all of that. So we had 5 hotels and 15 short-term rentals here in Newton. We had 936,000 out-of-market visitors, so out of Newton. That does not include anyone who's within the Newton city limits. Which was over 5.1 million visits. So those were visitors and visits. So 2 different things, a number of people coming and then the amount of times they came. And to help people come and visit, we award CVB event grants to different events here in the community. So they apply for that. And we were able to award 8 grants this past year. And $5,000 was awarded to them to help market their events. And the map on the side shows, that's from our placer data, where they're coming from. And so you can kind of see we're pulling a good regional draw from different areas. So that was fun to see that map. Our social media, so Facebook, Instagram, and then we also send out a month letter 1 to 2 times, a newsletter 1 to 2 times a month. All of those are very steadily growing over the years. So I have data from the past, from 2023 all the way to last year. And it's good to see those increasing. People are using those and enjoying the resources that we're putting out there. Some things that we're working on. This past year, we got to launch the new Choose Newton website along with the city website. With that website, looking at doing a lot more storytelling on there. So being able to tell the stories of what does a day trip to Newton look like? Where are the places that you can go? There's day trips for people who want to go golf and do disc golf, people who want a spa day, people who want to walk the trail. We have lots of different opportunities here in Newton, and so putting that together so they can see that. We were awarded 2 historic preservation storytelling grants. Those are ongoing. So one is the Notable Newtonians, and so we're going to do a history project downtown featuring people of Newton and their story. So we'll have a picture and a little bit of their story, and then the Historical Society is working with us on that project. It'll link back to some of their blog posts to learn more about those people, so you can learn about the history of our community. And then also our historic playing card project. So we are making a deck of playing cards that's going to feature artist renderings of historic places and people in Newton. I'm really excited about that project. We just finalized the artists for that about 2 weeks ago, and the artists were so excited about the project, and I can't wait to see all the final artwork and share that with you once it's done. Working on a Newton concert series, so pulling together all the concerts that are happening in Newton and advertising them as a whole concert series instead of each standalone concerts, so that more people start to gain some traction of, hey, come to Newton for music. And that has been fun working with the different organizations to pull that together. Growing marketing grants for the events and support for local events. I'm the only person in my position, so I can't put on lots of these wonderful, great events. And so we're great to have all of these partners who can do some of these things, and we want to be able to help them put on these events to bring people here. We're working on developing a new Christmas event. Actually, Friday, a community Christmas tree was delivered to the city, so there will be a tree lighting coming that we'll get to do a whole event around. So we're excited about that. That will be coming. We work with Travel Kansas in the Department of Commerce for tourism. So all of our events are listed on their website, in their calendar. We also list businesses on there in their magazine that they put out every year. So actually Friday, if any business is watching and hasn't got their listing yet, those are due this week for the 2027 Travel Kansas. We attend South Central tourism trainings. So as a region in Kansas, we are working together to bring people to the state. Working to increase that transient guest tax revenue, and we were assisting businesses in updating their Google listings so that those are correct, because if you're like most people, if you're looking for a place, you pull it up on your phone first, and whatever that Google listing says is where you're going or the phone number you're calling. This past year, we got to partner with a travel blogger, Vanessa Whiteside of One Delightful Life. If you haven't checked her out, she has a lot of great Kansas day trips that you can take. She's predominantly a Kansas blogger. She does do a few other areas in the Midwest, but has some great trip opportunities. And she was here last February and March, and she was surprised that we could fill up a whole weekend of events and activities of things she'd never done when she'd been to Newton. And she lives in Wichita. So being able to showcase Newton in a new light for her was fun. And she featured us on her blog, her website, and social media. And then she even wrote an article about Newton in Kansas Country Living as well as part of that. We participated in Sunflower Summer. This is something through the state of Kansas where over the summer kids in school and their families can go travel to local Kansas attractions. And it's free of charge for them to attend if they have the app and they go to that. Kaufman Museum, Harvey County Historical Museum, Carriage Factory Art Gallery, and Workentine House Museum all participated this year. The numbers of tickets claimed and reimbursement is a little lower than what actually came to Newton because not all of those have admissions fees. And so we actually saw an increase to that. I know I've heard from Kaufman Museum and Workentine House both how many people they get from it and what a wonderful program that is. And it's fun to see where everyone's coming from. They pull from quite a region, and we saw people from across the whole state. Looking ahead, we are creating a welcoming place to call home. So some of that is with our Trains and Grains marketing and promotion, really trying to promote that city flag. If you're going anywhere over spring break, make sure to grab your city flag. We're going to do a Trains and Grains on the Go campaign, where if you take your flag with you to snap a picture, you get entered in to win some prizes. Keep building partnerships throughout the community, the Newton Concert Series. We put together this past year a Newton gift guide. So if you're looking for things for somebody that you'd like to get, make sure to check out the Choose Newton gift guide. It has tons of local options of things that you can purchase, and we've also narrowed it down based off of, are they an outdoor enthusiast? Are they an art enthusiast? So that you can kind of have some of those ideas. And keep marketing the things to do in Newton and showcasing what all there is. As we plan and grow for the future, we've been in talks with North Newton about a guest tax. They do have Airbnbs, not a hotel there, because Kaufman Museum in Bethel, that is some of those things that we do help market and advertise. Continuing that hotel relationship and working to recruit a new hotel. That's something that we do hear fairly often as a need. That is CVB, and I'm going to switch over to Main Street now.
All right, you're putting on a different hat?
Putting on a different hat.
Awesome.
Passing out here our Main Street annual report. This actually just got finished about 2 weeks ago, and you guys are some of the first people to see it. It's going to go out later this week. But I think the downtown in numbers is really impressive. So 4,100 people are employed in our downtown district, so the C3 district. So there are a lot of people creating an economic impact right downtown. You can see our public investment of $369,000. A private investment, so this would be people who are working on their own buildings, so building owners downtown. This would not be city funds offering grants or grant funds to them, was almost $1.3 million in our downtown just in 2025. So our property owners and businesses are really investing in the community. We had over $10,000 donated in volunteer hours to run this program. We had lots of visits to downtown and 6 new businesses open over 2025. If you don't know much about the Main Street program, I think simplifying it, we connect people to place. So making sure that downtown is a welcoming environment, it's active, it's alive, it's economically thriving, offering that support. And so you can see a little bit of that over there. I was actually at Advocacy Day for Main Street in Topeka today, and one of the cool things that they talked about in there was sprawl is the #1 driver of increase in property tax, and the best way to combat that is by investing in density, like downtowns. And so I thought that was a really cool thing. We work around 4 points: design, promotions, economic vitality, and organization. Each one of those has its own committee that operates, so you can see who's on each of those committees. If you see them out and about, please say thank you to them. They do a lot of work to make this Main Street program run. In design, some of our big accomplishments this last year were we raised funds for a downtown sound system. The bids all came in and will be finalized later this week, so hopefully this spring we will be seeing that go up. We awarded 12 facade improvement grants to offset renovation costs. And we are working on downtown signage, because in our last survey of downtown, the #1 complaint outside of trains, which we can't control the train tracks downtown, was parking. And we actually have a lot of parking in downtown, but how do we direct people to make sure that they know where that parking is? With promotions, we themed our Third Thursdays this past year to bring people downtown, held the first annual wine walk, and saw over 23,000 people downtown for Newton events. So people are coming downtown and wanting those events that are happening, so that was fun to see. With economic vitality, we started Connect Downtown. So actually before I went to Topeka, I was there this morning and we had a class on window fronts. So how do you make your windows look inviting so that people who are walking by or driving by are enticed to come into your building? It's also a great time for the business owners and property owners to connect and get to know each other. We provided visitor data for businesses and help recruit and support small businesses in our downtown. The organization committee, here we launched our Choose Newton website, and this was the first time we had a dedicated Main Street section on there. So now people can find out more about our Main Street. created a small business resource guide. So for those businesses that are just starting out, what are the things that they need to know as a business that's starting out? What are the resources available to them? Phone numbers. So how do you contact the city for permits? How do you contact the chamber for ribbon cutting? All of those things are included in there. And just collaborating with partners locally, regionally, and nationally. We're very blessed to be a part of the Kansas Main Street program. So we have trainings not only in Kansas, but also every year, once a year, a national training as well. On the next side, you can see Main Street is helping businesses thrive, a lot of through what we've already talked about. And as part of the Main Street program, we have lots of education and training opportunities available. And our facade improvement grants, you guys have awarded those for the past 2 years, and we'll be coming again to request funding for that. But in 2024, we offered 11 grants totaling $30,000, and we saw almost $98,000 in private investment from just our $30,000 investment. In 2025, we've offered 12 grants. Only $15,000 has been awarded so far because only 5 of those are completed as of right now. They still have time to complete, but out of those 5 that have finished, we have seen a private investment of almost $126,000. So the return on investment on those grants is really a good investment. And I've heard lots of comments, even at Kansas Main Street trainings, how good our downtown is looking, and a lot of it is accredited to this. As we look to the year ahead for 2026, we have 3 transformational goals and then sub-goals under each of those that you can see. Our 3 transformational goals are strengthening community engagement and pride, increasing downtown vibrancy and foot traffic, and expanding support for business and property owners. So those are the 3 things that we're really going to be working on as a Main Street committee and working to grow those areas. And then on the back, you can see for events, we had just over 23,000 people attend some of the events and some pictures so that you can see some of the things that went on. And a little bit more about Kansas Main Street and Main Street America. They're great organizations that we get to be a part of, and ways that you can get involved, because this program is a great program to be a part of, and we're so grateful for all of the people who help make it possible, because it would not be possible without all of the people who are helping.
So, where did those coffee cups come from?
Those are from Mostaza.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually go there tomorrow and pick one up.
Oh, sure.
So
They're pretty awesome.
they are.
Oh, okay, okay.
I got one for Valentine's Day.
Wow, those are nice.
Yeah.
Great report.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich, can I just say something? It has been a delight to get to know Jen through the leadership, Rebecca's leadership in getting Main Street. Just, it's rocking and rolling, and it's because of Jen. And I want her to know how much we appreciate her, because she's doing a lot, and I'm hearing it in the community. I'm seeing it. Big things are happening for downtown. So thank you, Jen.
Cool. Now, about that playlist, I get to control it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Next item, thank you again. Next item is Meridian Center. Michael?
Hello, I'm Michael Parker. I'm the general manager out at the Meridian Center. Actually, let's start calling it the Meridian Event Center. This is one of the things that we've tried to start working in this past year to really bring the identity back to it, because we've had a lot of people come in wondering what we were. But 2025, as I looked at it, was a year of restoration. 2025, we focused on organization, operational cleanup, and intentional preparation for the future for the Meridian Center. Our primary objective, at least my primary objective this first year, was to restore the Meridian Event Center to a position of stability, one where sustainability, growth, and realistically beginning. I'm confident that this objective has been met, and in many areas I feel it has exceeded where we were at. The quality of the service has returned and in many ways has surpassed the standard that existed prior to my departure as event manager in April of '23. Throughout 2025, we have strived to rebuild the foundational systems, strengthen our internal operations, and reestablish the service expectations that our guests have come to expect. As a result, the venue is now operating with greater consistency, professionalism, and a readiness for growth. The following here are a few highlights from 2025. I've tried to pull a little bit from each month. In January, we actually attended the 2025 Wichita Bridal Expo for the first time in quite a few years. And it was great to get out there and meet a lot of the other vendors and other venues and things like that in the area. We did say goodbye to Jackie Kiefer, who served as our event manager from November of 23 to January of 25. She left us for another opportunity that was a little closer to home, so she wasn't making that drive every day. In February, we hosted the Big Brothers and Big Sisters annual Cooks, Corks, and Kegs event, and they are actually on the books again for next year. We welcomed Health Ministries fundraising gala. It was a great evening, and we actually just hosted their second one with us this past Saturday, and we do have a date penciled in for next year. In March, we were wowed by the Youth Entrepreneurs Competition that was hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. Again, that will be happening in a few weeks. In April, we hosted the Heston High School prom. And we welcomed Samantha Rhodes to the city and to the MEC team as our full-time prep cook. That's her up in the corner. In May, we were joined by the Kansas Water Environmental Association. They were thrilled with their mini conference that they hosted with us. They were hoping to be back this year. That was not going to be possible for them, but they will be back with us in 27. We also welcomed Den Owen as a full-time employee of the city and the MEC after he served as interim event manager, and he is now the full-time event manager with us. In June, we had a new piece of kitchen equipment that was the first new piece of equipment in there in quite a while. We replaced the stove and griddle. It's now a combo, and it has been fantastic. We also welcomed GAF in their first event with the Meridian, and we hope that it's not the last. We also had HF Sinclair, which they hosted their annual golf reception with us. Again, we will have them back this summer. In July, we had kind of a dead month as far as the events go, but that didn't mean the work stopped. And we spent the month really working and creating our new and updated menu and trying to get that off the ground. August marked the beginning of the school year with new teacher breakfast. And we also hosted an event for the United Way, which was a dinner with an author. In September, we debuted our new fully redesigned menu. We were very excited about that. We have some beautiful versions of that printed up as well, if anyone would like one of those. Our hope with the new menu is also to review it several times a year, to update it, be adding new things to it. That's kind of a new piece that has never really been done, but we want to keep it fresh and exciting. We had the NHS Class of 75 reunion, which marked the beginning of class reunion season. We also participated for the first time in the chili cook-off downtown with Chef Ruben's smoked brisket chili. We also attended the SGC food show. SGC is one of our purveyors. They do a food show every September in Springfield, Missouri, where their headquarters is. We got to tour their facilities there and just learn a little bit more about them and meet with a lot of different representatives and everything at the food show. We're hoping to go back later this year. In October, it's our busiest month, so it gets its own slide. We had reunions, meetings, fundraising events. We were proud to have our fellow city workers with us for the annual employee conference. We had Heartland Pregnancy Center's fundraiser. It was a 400-guest plated meal. That's stretching our limits and our capabilities, but we pulled it off with flying colors. This was one of the events that I'm most proud of for the year because their previous event with us, the planners were not quite as happy with, and they had a lot of issues, and we did convince them to give us another chance, and they have already booked for 27 or for later this year. We premiered our new china. So gone are the heavy plates that we used to have. So we have the new china, which is fantastic for both our guests and our servers. We also got a second new piece of equipment, unexpected, as our tilt skillet broke and could not be repaired. Gary tried. but we got the Avario skillet. If you ever have a chance to come over to the Meridian and see Chef using it, it's really, really an amazing piece of equipment. It's bringing us into the new tech age when it comes to kitchens. We also hosted the annual chamber banquet and had a wonderful time as well. In November, the Blue Stem Gala, had one of their biggest turnouts to date with us. They had about 350 guests. Again, it was another plated meal. This was the first time that we catered it ourselves. In the past, they have brought in outside catering. We convinced them to give us a chance because they hadn't, and they were absolutely thrilled with their sliced steak. They currently also have a date held for 26. Also, at the end of November, we had our holiday transformation of the Meridian Center. If you didn't get out there, you missed it. It was really, really good. Come out this next year. It gets even better. But all the decorations went up, and we were ready for our first holiday party of the season, which was the annual Rotary Holiday Party. We also hosted Health Ministries holiday party as well for their staff. And we had the annual Ag Symposium back for their annual event as well. And if you were following us on Facebook, we did have a couple of little visitors from the North Pole that spent the month with us, frosting and sprinkles. They did cause a little bit of trouble, but I think we've gotten all that cleaned up. Okay, now for the numbers. This is a 5-year revenue comparison. You will see in 25, we came in at about 309,000. 309,000. I confused myself. But compared to last year, we were slightly above. So we were very proud that it stayed that way. We actually lost one of our larger events, so still coming out ahead, we were very proud of. Moving on, we have the revenue breakdown by type. We typically try to categorize all the events as association, corporate, or social. There you will see the totals for each of those individual pieces. Just kind of a note there, the numbers on that are a little bit skewed. In the past, we've discovered that in our programming, the labels of association, corporate, and social have not been very well defined. So that's something that we've been trying to work on to make sure that we're getting accurate numbers. So that's why you see such a big difference in those. The next slide is a 5-year comparison of the number of events. You'll see in 2025, we had 106 events over the year. In 2024, it's listed as 115, but you'll see those numbers in parentheses. Those are actually the true numbers. We went back in prior to this year, most multi-day events were put in as a single, or as separate days for each one. It was kind of skewing the numbers a little bit, and so we've tried to now put them in, so each event, no matter how many days, goes in as a single event. And so the numbers that you see in parentheses are where those adjustments were made. So we ended up with the same number of events as last year, and we came out a little bit ahead. So for my first year back, I was feeling very proud of that. In 2026, if 25 was a year of restoration, 26 will be a year of growth and celebration. For celebration, because the Meridian Center will celebrate its 15th anniversary this July. It's hard to believe that it's been there for 15 years when you step inside the doors. But it has, and we're very proud of it, and we want to be able to celebrate this achievement. I've tried to align some of our goals here with the city goals. The first is sustaining exceptional public service. We have 3 goals here that we will try to do. We want to create a planning guide for our clients. This is going to help to assist in the process of booking and planning and execution of their events, ensuring a smooth process for everyone and making it the best possible service for both our clients and the guests. We want to create a comprehensive SOP guide for the operation of the Meridian Event Center so that each guest receives the same standard of service every time, no matter who is planning it or running the event. This will keep the guest experience consistent and at its highest level of exceptionalism. There have been SOPs in the past. Those have been lost to time and whatever else, but it's a work in progress currently. We also plan to create and execute a training program for our servers so that they are well aware of the standards and processes that we follow, thus creating and maintaining our level of service that we provide to each guest. Goal number 2 is create a welcoming place to call home. Again, with our anniversary, we are planning to execute a 15-year anniversary celebration, reminiscent of the original grand opening. The more I've learned about the grand opening, I think we're going to go better than that. Using the 15th anniversary of the Meridian Center as a starting point to create and execute community outreach. This is something that we've deemed really important. One, we want to make the presence known. I've gone out in the community several times. People ask me where I work, and they don't know what the Meridian Center is. And that breaks my heart. And I take it personally, and I want to change that. We want the Meridian to be able to give back to the community and to help change that current perception of what the Meridian is. We want to change the perception that we're only for the elite, and we want to be there for everyone. We want the MEC to be a feature of the Newton community and something that its citizens can be proud of. We want to achieve this goal, we want to create some Meridian-hosted events. There have been some in the past. Those have kind of fallen out of practice for us, but we feel that by doing this, we can create events that are interesting for the citizens that may not otherwise attend the Meridian, and also provide the community with something, events, things that are not happening else around town. Some of these concert series, I know they're looking for one downtown, but also one of the ones we're very excited about is the possibility of a New Year's Eve celebration. Also, we plan to begin and execute upgrades to and facelifts kind of to this facility, the exterior, getting everything cleaned up, and creating more of a modern and welcoming atmosphere for our guests and the community. Again, we've been there for 15 years. The changes are going to be noticed. Finally, our plan for growing for the future. Event number goal for 26, we want to hit 121 events. This may not sound like that much, but if you think about it, each event takes approximately 3 days total. We've got to have a day of setup, a day of the event, and then a day of cleanup. So we think a little bit of growth right now is probably good than being inundated with it. But at 121 events, my goal has stemmed from our 15-year anniversary as 15 more events. We're currently at 66 events as of Friday. For 2026, so having that many on the books right now, only a couple months in, is very good. This includes 5 weddings towards the end of the year. One of those is actually on Halloween night. We're very excited about that. And the revenue estimated at this point from those events is about $182,000. We have another 22 events that are currently in the prospective or tentative status and are waiting on contracts to be returned so that those events can become definite. We plan to organize and declutter the current storage areas. If you've ever been in the Meridian and towards any of the storage, you know there's not a lot, and we have a lot of stuff. There are many items that we no longer use that we could remove to make room for other items and things that we use on a regular basis, and then create a more user-friendly space for our staff and all the servers. We also we want to create a marketing plan that will span the next few years. This is actually a current work in progress, and I believe we just submitted that to Rebecca and the rest of the team earlier this month. And then finally, we really want to start laying the groundwork for future upgrades to the Meridian. I actually had a wonderful conversation with Virgil the other day, who, as you know, had hands in the original plans for the building. I did not realize that it was about a 20-year process from the time it was first in the inception to when it opened. That blew my mind. So I figured we ought to start looking at these things now. To wrap that up, the Meridian Center has been a year of rebuilding, and now we get to look towards the future. And I think that we have a very bright future and something that will be able to make the city very proud of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich, if I can say also something about Michael. Michael started shortly after I did, and with Michael Lunsford leaving and being here such a long time, And also myself being brand new, I was a little worried. You can ask Rebecca, trying to find someone who was the right fit to ensure that we didn't skip a beat at the Meridian Center was really important. But at the same time, not scaring away someone and saying, here you go. And Michael was up for the job, and I really appreciate it. I'm proud to know you, proud to work beside you. And also, Den, welcome to the team. I know you're fairly new, but you guys do a great job. Thank you.
Congrats. All righty. Next item this evening is the consider an ordinance establishing the dates and times for fireworks. Denise?
Okay, Commissioners, I hope you had a chance to look at your packet because we have added some information to that packet. In there, you will have there's a chart that has the dates of sale and discharge from 2022 all the way through 2025, just so that you can see what we have done in the past. Just a reminder that the sales tax information from both Harvey County, the 1% that they get from there, and also the 1% that comes directly to the city was $13,039. So we received a proposed ordinance suggestions, and that is in your packet. You have the ordinance that you had last time that is in your packet. The one that is another proposed one with the information. I do have sheets for anybody in the audience. They are in the basket over there if anybody wants to look at them just to be able to follow along to see what is on that. Since that Thursday morning's agenda review, staff is submitting for your consideration additional possible fireworks ordinance. And some of the notable changes in that are sales expand to 8 consecutive days from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Vendors can purchase permits at $500 per day per location for any number of days during that sale period. The vendors, that they can't purchase anything before January 1st of whatever year that we will be having that. Discharge is allowed for 4 days only from noon to midnight. And then the commission would review these shortly after the 4th of July, after we receive a report from both the fire and the police chief just on activities that had happened during that time. So this is now in your hands to discuss and make a decision on.
Are you okay with me explaining a little bit, Mayor?
Sure.
I would try. So I'm sorry I was late. I was sitting at home getting ready for a 7:30 agenda meeting. And then my wife said, "Aren't your meetings at 7?" And I rushed over. So I was writing my notes very calmly. I'm going to tell you 2 really quick stories. Daniela, I think you said you were in city government about 20 years? 18 years in 5 cities. And this morning, Daniela came up to me and said, "I don't think I've ever met another commissioner like you." And I just wanted to acknowledge that I'm very weird, and I own that. And part of the reason we have 2 possible ordinances that are both mine is because I'm weird. Number 2, I moved to Newton 25 years ago, and the very quick version of how I ended up here, I was a college dropout. I was volunteering as a maintenance director at a small school on the Hopi Reservation in northern Arizona. And a Bethel College student and her family showed up and were there for a week, and we started emailing. And she told me that she had a boyfriend, and it was pretty serious. And I was like, "Well, how serious?" And she said, "I'm 99% sure we're going to get married." And I responded, actually, I didn't say, in my head, I said, "Oh, so I have a chance." And that tells you that I'm an eternal optimist. If you give me a 1% chance, I think that I can probably accomplish it. So I came into this fireworks discussion thinking, I bet we could find a way to solve this, because every person I've ever talked to said, this is the worst possible thing ever, and I never want to do it again. And I think, if we all hate this, why do we keep doing it? So that was my initial goal. And I think it's bad for Newton, it's bad for the city staff, It's bad for the commission. It's bad for everybody. Nobody likes it. We should stop. Then we started talking about it, and we immediately got into things like dying dogs and dying vets and dying businesses, and it got really intense for me. I grew up in an abusive family, lots of dysfunction. It threw me off, and the next meeting, I saw a shortcut where I thought, wait, maybe we could just go there and we could just stop it right now, because I was really kind of freaked out. And so I made my motion for 4 and 4. And then I got more information and realized if we went that way, I don't think we would actually solve it. We would just be back here again next year with more people lobbying, and we'd have to do it again. And I have a great therapist, and I calmed myself down, and I decided, no, I still think we can do it. So I started over, and I ended up doing the city's process, which is not the commission job. And after going through it, I'm very willing to hand it back, and you can all do it, because it was really hard. But I tried to come up with, I decided we should try to go through and just figure out, we should all sit down and figure out what would work, what would actually work. The problem I ran into, nobody would talk in public, because all of this should happen here in public. It should. But everybody's scared of getting yelled at and doesn't want to stick their neck out to talk about fireworks, because it really sucks to get yelled at. But I could get people to trust me, and they would talk to me. And something I learned recently at Harvey County Recovery Court, Judge Wilder talks to every person who comes in new. People who are there, the guy who just graduated was a 30-year meth addict and said he never believed he could change. And it wasn't until Harvey County Recovery Court that he found a way to stop that cycle. And Judge Wilder said the first phase of Harvey County Recovery Court is you show up, you be honest, and you work hard. And you're going to make mistakes, and that's all right. But if you can be honest with us, we'll support you, and we'll figure it out, and we can move forward. So I got everybody to try to be honest with me. And I talked to staff, I talked to vendors, I talked to residents, I talked to all sorts of people. What you have in front of you is the other option. So we could still go with the 4 and 4. We'd probably come back next year, yell some more. Or we could attempt this that we tried to look at every perspective. We tried to think of it, the perspective of residents, vendors, commission, staff, fire, EMS, police, kids, dogs, everybody. It's not perfect, but I took it around to everybody, and it seemed like it could potentially work. And then to really test it, I went through everybody who sent us letters and messages complaining about fireworks and the discussion, and I sent it to everybody. And I said, what do you think about this? Would this work? And I'll give you one example. Overwhelmingly positive responses. One example was from a resident who wrote to all of us and said, to the Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners, and Administration of Newton, Kansas, I emailed you previously concerning the debate of firework dates and discharge, and now that the issue is again tabled, which was also my motion, until the next council meeting, I want to again speak for those of us who have only a small voice. For those of us who have PTSD-related anxiety and stress, fireworks season is more than just a little noise for a few days. It can be devastating. While the amount of time allowed for selling fireworks creates no particular issue, other than the unlawful discharge, it is the discharge days and times that do come into play. I would again advocate for the shorter 4-day discharge period, and if longer dates are allowed for sales, that there be reasonable efforts made by law enforcement to enforce other aspects of this ordinance. While I am sympathetic to the issue of animal and pet stress related to fireworks, the PTSD-related mental health issues of human beings, real people and citizens, should be the primary concern of the council, and an issue that the Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners should take seriously. Financial business matters should not be the controlling force of this issue. The mental health crises created by firework discharge do not merely cease at midnight July 4, they often linger for several weeks thereafter. While businesses are counting the money, individuals are still suffering the mental fatigue. I submit this respectfully and ask for a thoughtful consideration. So I sent him and asked for his genuine feedback, honest feedback. And he responded, "Thank you for allowing me to have an opportunity for input. The proposal actually looks really good and a fair compromise. I'm somewhat impressed. Knowing that some citizens will push the discharge times is to be expected, but that is a relatively minor issue, all things considered. All in all, I would raise no objections. A good proposal and fair compromise. Thank you and all of the commission and mayor for the time, work, and attention given to this issue. That's just one example. Others are like that. Not everyone will agree. Perhaps this is a reasonable proposal. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm not advocating for it specifically. I'm just telling you, this might be the best we get, and I think if we do this, nobody will come back and complain, and that would be amazing. This would be 8 days of selling, but we changed. The idea was to change the permitting fee, because what I learned from talking to vendors was the ones who want to sell for 4, because they pay for 8, they end up selling for 8. And they don't want the others. So I said, well, what if we allow some to sell for 8 and you sell for 4? Will that affect your sales? Well, no, they don't think that will affect their sales. Well, then that's not the issue. So then we just decided, what if we would do 500 per day, and they can choose any number of days they want. And that ends up, so then the other concern is ERT, how do we make sure that they get their money? Well, they've been paying $2,500. If now they choose 4 days, now they're paying $2,000, so they're actually getting a discount. We haven't changed any prices since 2009. If vendor comes in and wants to sell for 8 days, they would now pay $4,000 rather than $2,500. So we end up making a little more money, which isn't the point, but we're not losing money. Everybody also said we should be reviewing this right after July 4, so we can remember what it was like, and so we can make changes, because one of the biggest issues is the vendors many of them order in July, and then they have to come and they come and they lecture us and lobby us because they don't want us to take away the days they've already bought for. Well, we're setting up a really bad system. If we let them plan and we decide in July we're going to cut back, then they know and they can plan accordingly. It will change the dynamic a lot. It will also allow us to look right away. Was there a problem? Let's change it, rather than waiting 6 months. We looked at times, selling times, trying to give a reasonable time. It's not what the vendors asked for. We kept it a little bit shorter. July 1 to 4 seems easiest. We could go July 2 to 4, but everyone said, well, no, it makes more sense to just do July. I don't know why. Just logically in our brains, 1 to 4. And then the timing, if we move it to noon to midnight, we were thinking, like, how do you message it? Because the main concern is if we keep it consistent, how do you tell people? Well, you can tell a kid you can't shoot fireworks until after lunch. But if you're telling them 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock or a number, it's harder. Lunchtime, my dog can be outside all morning, and then we can go hide in the basement, and then kids can shoot their fireworks. It keeps it exactly the same every day, which is what everybody said would be the most beneficial to trying to. The other issue is enforcement, which is a separate issue because we don't like fireworks on New Year's, but we don't allow sales or discharge on New Year's. So that's not actually an issue that we can decide with this ordinance. That would be an enforcement issue, and that's partly education, and that's figuring out enforcement is a separate conversation, but that's not part of this conversation. I think, did I cover? Well, the other piece is the total hours. That was, we're talking days. I also wanted to just think about, like, how many hours do we have to suffer through this? And we have gone, if you have it in front of you, like 63 hours was in 2020, and then they just started going up. I don't know who thought 116 hours, 8 days, that was ridiculous. And then we came back down to 80 hours, 54 hours, 56 hours. What I'm proposing, not what I'm proposing, what we came up with is 48 hours. So it's 12 hours for 4 days. That would be the fewest number of hours that we've tried. The only questions I've had, so Greg is here. Greg asked, can people shoot in the streets because the ordinance says private property? But that's still an enforcement issue. The ordinance already says it, so that's an enforcement issue. Most of the questions were enforcement, I think, that I got back. And I got, I don't know, maybe a dozen responses. Overall, everybody said, no, that's probably as good as we can do, which to me is about as good as we can do. So those are, I think, the two options. Do you have any? And I would love to be argued with. If you think we could improve this, let's improve it. We couldn't come up with anything better.
Well, to me, and again, I affirm all the time and the effort that you put into this. I applaud that. This has been a very frustrating situation for us for years. Personally, I think this really pretty much cuts the cake right down the middle. I applaud the work, and I think I'm an affirmative on this one.
Kathy?
Well, I wrote some notes because I want to stay on track. First of all, I do want to applaud you for the time and effort. You're a new commissioner. I get it. I understand. The commissioners had a retreat yesterday and today, and one of the things that we spoke a lot about was listening to our residents as we move forward. And I look back at that 4-4 decision. I'm going to refer to that decision for 4 days of selling and 4 days of discharge as the 4-4. So if you hear me mention that, that's what I'm talking about. When I look back at that decision that was made on January the 27th of 26, I was very encouraged. I was very excited, having sat on this commission now for nearly 10 years and had that battle between discharge and sales dates. I come from the old school where we celebrated the 4th of July on the 4th of July. And I was really encouraged about that particular meeting that we had. I felt like that we had demonstrated to our residents that we were listening, finally. And that especially considering, and I'm not so much data-driven, my data is the residents. But some data was presented at that meeting on January the 27th, and what particularly interested me and maybe confirmed where I've been was that 67% of the residents that were, what do you want to call it, surveyed last year agreed or said they would prefer 4 days, they're about 4 days. And I thought 67%, for me, that was pretty solid for where I'm at. So for the first time in these last several years, I saw what I believe to be a great deal of encouraging and positive responses on that decision through social media. I saw more than I have, and they were all, from the ones I saw, they were good and positive, encouraging. People were very glad to see that we had made that decision. I was hopeful because it was a decision, it was our decision for the first time in a long time, that 4-4. So this changed, though, on February the 10th, and now we are here once again. And I just will say it right now, I am committed to keep that decision that I made on January the 27th. Because I don't want to waffle in my decision-making, and I want the citizens to know I'm still listening to you. I still hear what you said then and what you have said up to this point. So that's where I'm at. And I guess if you would like, Mayor, do I need to make a motion for that just to see it die? Or what do I need to do? Do we need?
Do you need to make the motion and see it die? Actually, this meeting is for this body to make our decisions. It is not a public meeting. We had a public meeting earlier for the previous topic, but this is for us to work through this issue, and we'll have comments at the end during the public forum.
I'm going to go ahead and move that we have our decision. How do I want to word this? I want to move that we do what we had decided to do on January the 27th, which was 4 days.
4 days of sale, 4 days of discharge.
Yeah, and I don't have all of those times and stuff in front of me, but we did get that decided, so that is my motion.
All right, so we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second? Having a motion and no second, motion dies.
And I do and I apologize for that move. It was bad. It was a mistake. So I'm sorry that I gave it to you, took it away. That was me. That's on me. I mean,
I have great peace with the decision I made then and remaining committed to that same decision. I know that that's not what is going to happen for our residents, but I want our residents to know that that's what I wanted for you, and so not happening.
And part of what I'm glad that we've had 2 days. I like Kathy. We're going to work together for years.
Yep.
This isn't we're also trying to model civil disagreement.
And respect. I'm one of 5, and I understand that. And my concern is that just how I vote on this, well, this isn't the vote, but how I vote on this, my constituents. I say constituents. I know there are people who follow me and who come to me based on some of the things I do, and it's important to me. There are probably people that voted for me that may not have voted for you, but people voted for you or you that didn't vote for me. I know how that works that way. So those people who stay in touch with me, who follow me, it's important to me that I am able to give them a response and that I listen. That doesn't mean I'm going to make a decision that pleases everybody, because I know that's not possible. But this has been an issue of passion, and it's been one of my passions, and so over these years. And so I feel good about the decision I'm making, and I hope the residents know that I truly, sincerely wanted us to continue with that 4-4.
Thank you, Kathy. And I appreciate your candor. I appreciate your hard work on this. Jason, I appreciate your hard work as well. The process was broken. That's why we've had so many meetings to try and get to a solution and everything. I think revisiting this in July or shortly thereafter is a better process, rather than it becoming a hurried process in January to try and get that taken care of. The discourse and disagreements are healthy. What's not healthy is the back and forth and decision made, not decision made. I mean, the countless number of community members that have reached out and said, "Why is this still? I thought a decision was made." And there were times I thought the decision was made as well.
I think I wish that we could be at 4-4. What it comes down to for me is that I don't think it would be final, and I think we would come back.
Well, I think we'll probably be back. So
maybe we'll be back this week.
The thing is we can't tie the hands of future commissions with our decisions that are made today. So there is a very good chance that this will be back and everything. I just don't like when it appears that the tail is wagging the dog versus the decision that was made. And that's why I made my votes the way I did previously, was because we had set a plan in motion, we had decided on the plan, and then we changed the plan. And that just does not make this body look confident and like we're handling the business of the city well and everything. So if we're going to play hindsight is 20/20, those are the corrections that I want to, those are things that I want to correct.
There was one other correction that I forgot that I wanted to make, because when I made the motion so it was in the first meeting and we were talking about taxes, and I asked, what is the amount? And one of the vendors said, maybe $1 million total sold in Newton in 1 year. And then there was calculations and trying to figure out how much tax money. And then the next week or the next meeting we got saying 6,000. And at that point in my head, there was this sort of swirl that, well, then he's lying. And in my head, he was like, people are lying. And so that was in my head when I made that motion. Once we got the real numbers back another 2 months late or 2 weeks later, So now we know that it was 13,000. From that, the actual amount would be more like 1.3 million, which means he wasn't lying. It was actually, he was underestimating. That to me felt like an important correction, because I know that I was thinking in my head, he's lying. And that wasn't true. And I want to make sure that's.
Okay. Any further discussion? Do we have a motion?
I will move for this proposed ordinance. And I'm going to really hope that it can be permanent for at least 2 years.
Well, do we have to, if that's the case, do we have to have a separate decision on that as far as a,
Though, as written, the ordinance says that
The
it will
second
be.
one.
The second one says that it will be revisited in July or thereafter, right? And
It just says after we receive a report from the fire chief and the police chief, just letting them know, letting you guys know if there's things that we need to tweak or whatever at that point. I would also, in this motion, I would ask that you give the mayor the authority to sign that then after we vote on this, because we will have to go back and put it all together.
Right. I wrote that language in response to what Commissioner Jason had asked for. You could still, as the mayor pointed out, you could always repeal it. You can always amend it, but the intent would be you look at it in July when everything is fresh. You could then say, hey, we're good. We're carrying this forward to next year, or we need to look at changes. So that's the idea behind that language.
Right.
Yeah, make sure you're okay with it. But the intent was not forcing us to look at it, but allowing us to look at it.
So it allows it to be revisited. It doesn't mandate it to be revisited. So through lack of action, the rules would persist in the following year. But at any point in time, this body could take up action.
Any commission could look at it in July if they wanted to, but we don't have to. It's just sort of switching the.
okay.
I will second that motion.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
I would give you an ordinance number if you would like that.
Sure.
Okay. That would be 5197-26.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1. All right. Next item this evening is APAC. Chris?
Sure, Mayor. This is an exciting item for the city of Newton. It has to do with the sale and development of property in the Kansas Logistics Park. There's 3 items that you're going to consider tonight. One is going to be a PSA, which is a purchase and sale agreement. One is going to be a resolution authorizing the sale. And the third will be a development agreement. We're going to welcome Sean Riley, who's the president of APAC, the purchaser here. I'll go in detail over those 3 action items, then I'll hand it over to Sean to talk about the projects and their plans. We also have Beth Shelton, who can weigh in with additional details. There's a map depicting the area that you see in pink. We're talking about approximately 20 acres of real property. You can see that it's adjacent north of GAF. This is the sale at $12,000 an acre, so a purchase price of $241,000. The development agreement shows the city's intent to move forward with the issuance of IRBs. It initiates the vacation of Hawk Avenue, which you can see is the street between those 2 sections in pink. Should that go through, the purchasers agreed to continue that purchase price of $12,000 an acre for that property that would then revert to APAC. We also extend 2 licenses, not a normal action that we've taken, but we're doing it here to facilitate their development. One would be for them to transport materials over that drainage access, and second would be to go under the road to the south. There is one error in those licenses that I'd like to, if should you approve this, that staff will work with APAC to clean up. It says that it can be revoked by APAC, but it would actually be by the city, so I would ask that motion to be contingent on that. We can clean it up with them. Saw it shortly before the meeting. APAC, on their side, they will construct a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility at a minimum cost of $6 million. It'll be completed within roughly 18 months. You have the CBA in there in terms of the investment they're putting in and the jobs that they're creating. They are also responsible with financing the costs to extend the utilities and the issuance of the IRB. There will be multiple steps with, like you see in a lot of these EcoDevo projects. At our upcoming meeting, we would anticipate a resolution of intent to authorize the IRBs. We would receive their petitions for improvements. And then, as you are aware, property that's in the KLP, subject to an agreement that we have with the county would approve the sale, and they would also be entitled to a certain component or a certain share of the revenue that comes in off the sale. So if you don't have any questions on that, I would turn it over to Sean to talk about the project, if he'd be willing to come up to the podium. And then obviously questions for staff and for Beth as well before you consider action on those 3 items. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you very much. Thanks for allowing me to speak. So introduce myself again. I'm Sean Riley. I'm the president of APAC Kansas, the company that's going to be putting this project together. And then with me is Stuart Randall. He'll be the project manager on the project. So if you don't know APAC Kansas, we've been around the area for 152 years. We've been in Hutchinson, Kansas. That's where we first started, and now we have facilities all across the state. We have been in Newton for years on the southwest side. We've had an asphalt plant. So we're familiar with Newton. We like Newton. We do a lot of work in Newton. But what we're really excited about is this project here. We've been working with GAF for the last 5 years trying to put this project together. It really kind of came together about 1.5 years ago, so that's why it seems like it's kind of ramped up and speeding up. But what we would be putting in is a process facility that would just take limestone aggregate we would bring in from another facility, and we would mill it down to a powdered substance that they would use in their facility to make the shingles. It's going to be all in a building, so it's not going to be fun and exciting to look at from the outside, but from the inside, it's pretty sophisticated, innovative. What I'm really excited about is, as we've gone through this process to put all this together, we have a lot of different vendors that are manufacturing certain products and certain machines that's going to go in it, and almost all of those factories are in Kansas. It was just kind of a coincidence, but I'm really excited about it. There's a factory in Pratt that's going to be making silos. There's a factory in Independence that's going to be making the mill. There's a factory in Salina that's going to be making the loadout facility, so we're really excited about that. And then with us being from Kansas and having a big footprint in Kansas, we're really excited. The other thing I'd like to say, we've put this project together over the last 3 or 4 months, working with Chris, working with Beth, has just been a pleasure. They're professional, they're courteous, they're responsive, and we don't always get that every place we go, but it would be something that you should be really proud of. They were great. With that, I would take any questions that you all have.
So have you worked with GAF in any of their other, I know they don't have any other plants in Kansas, but have you had any other business partnerships with them in the past?
So yeah, that's a great question. So APAC Kansas is actually, our parent company is CRH, and so CRH, we have sister companies all across the nation. We have a plant in Pennsylvania right now that supplies the same product to GAF in that area. So we've had a great relationship with them for 25 years. So when they were coming to Kansas, they reached out to our sister company and said, do you have anybody in the Kansas area that could do this, make this product for us? And so that's how we got wrapped up with them 5 years ago. And it's a pretty complicated process. It's not just aggregate going into it. There's a lot of chemistry involved with it. So we've had to ship materials out of Kansas to run through some process and make sure it's going to work in their facility. And so everything's looking good, and we hope that a year from now we'll be producing product for them.
Very nice. Well, we want you to know we want you here, and we're very appreciative of all the effort that you've put forward to build this partnership with GAF and right here in Newton.
Well, thank you.
There's got to be a way to market or brand this Kansas cooperation between all the different entities or whatever. Get the governor down here for a ribbon cutting or something. Yeah.
So it's funny you say that. So we will have a groundbreaking, and then we'll have later on a ribbon cutting, but in the groundbreaking, that we're really going to advertise that because I think it's something to be proud of. That
It is.
we built a lot of things in Kansas that we don't even know about. I didn't know that all this stuff was built in Kansas.
Yep.
But hopefully we're going to take some tours of some of the factories. We took a tour of the factory in Pratt, Kansas that makes the silos. If you ever get a chance to go down there, it's really exciting, great people down there. We love working with Kansas people. They're friendly.
How long has it been, Beth, since we got to go to GAF? Is it 3 years or?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, because all of this planning, you look back on all the time that it took, and that was when we had plans that already been in process for at least 2 years or a little bit more. So
Well,
it's going to be real exciting to see all this come to fruition.
Well, and I want to call out the fact that APAC locating here is the downstream effect that we knew was going to happen with landing GAF. So that's a testament to that further
Wow,
eco-devo.
thank you.
It's that domino effect.
It is.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if you had questions about what our plan was with the easements on the two areas? Or are you familiar with what our plan was for that?
Movement of materials over and under.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Yes, yes,
had some extensive conversations about that.
Okay,
yes.
excellent.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris?
Unless you have questions for staff, we can tee up those 3 items for action.
So the first would be a motion to consider a purchase sale agreement with APAC.
I move we approve.
Second would be, sorry.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
The second, on the development agreement, that's where I pointed out that typo, that we would just ask for approval contingent on working that out with APAC, and we will work through that issue on the license.
Do we need to do the resolution to sale first?
Yes.
Yes.
That number would be G-1376.
I move that we approve G1376.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. And the last would be the development agreement with the modifications as pointed out by our attorney.
Thank you.
I'd call for that motion.
I move we approve the development agreement.
I second with the modifications. Okay, I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Very good. All righty. Next item this evening is to consider a request to close Athletic Park. Denise?
Yes, you have in your packet a request to close Athletic Park Circle on April 25th from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is for the Newton Bible Christian School 5K run. And staff has reviewed this. All departments have looked at it and would ask that you approve that.
I move that we approve that.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. All right. Next item this evening is to consider an amendment to the airport lease agreement with Shield AI. It's going to be Chris and Brian.
Yeah, I'll kick it off and I'll let Brian fill in the gaps. This is an amendment to a lease agreement that we had with Shield AI from October. There's a depiction that you can see up on the screen. That area in orange is the existing ground lease, and then that white colored box within the orange is their pad. So that was all negotiated in October. Last week, we received a request from Shield AI that they want to construct the pad to be a little bit bigger. Obviously, those two drawings aren't to scale, but that's what you have before you. It's a lease amendment. It modifies the existing lease from October. It expands the ground lease from 3 acres to 8 acres. It increases that monthly ground lease amount from $2,500 to $5,000. And it also allows for an expanded concrete pad. This lease agreement, obviously with city and county owned property at the airport, will be subject to county approval. I'll let Brian fill in any of the gaps, but it's a relatively straightforward amendment.
I have no real gaps to fill in. I think Chris covered it very well. It's just to be aware that they initial pad size, and as they're starting to develop, they're figuring out things as they go along and realize that their pad alone was 2.2 acres and 3 acres wasn't going to fill it all, so they needed more space. So no, but otherwise I think Chris covered it very well. The rate that they're going to pay per square foot is actually above our market value in Newton, so we're in good shape there. So no reason to. My recommendation would be to also approve this lease amendment for that.
And I should have mentioned the October lease also includes a portion of Hangar J. This doesn't change anything to do with that hangar lease. It's just simply to the ground lease.
Right.
The initial, when I first looked at it, did you change the document? Initially, I was like,
Yeah.
why are we lowering the payment?
No, that was
okay.
Yeah. That was my error, and that was a red line
Okay, no, you're good.
of a draft, not a red line to the October agreement. Completely on me.
Okay.
Good catch.
Wanted to confirm it.
Good catch.
I think we've had actually 432 red lines in the last 4 days, according to the last count. So it's not surprising that one may have slipped through.
This one moved relatively quick from Thursday to today, and given that timeline, the county wasn't able to take it up today. My understanding is they will take it up next Tuesday. And then that will provide Shield AI with a firm direction in terms of where they can locate that pad. It'll be helpful to them.
And we just need a simple motion.
That's right.
I move that we approve this amended lease agreement.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
I do want to say thanks to staff and everybody involved in putting that together. I know it kind of came at you fast, but we stood our ground and said, no, they have to do their work too. So, good. Awesome. All right, we are going to have an executive session. It will be about 30 minutes long. There will be no action taken afterwards. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and do citizens forum real quick.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Lynette?
Hey, I had an experience. I suffer from major anxiety, depression, bipolar 1. I went to bed one night, had a really great night's sleep, and all at once, pop, 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 and I was like, and anybody that jumps in dead of sleep is going to be disoriented to begin with. And I literally thought people were shooting at each other. And I live in a neighborhood, first of all, that it is illegal in our neighborhood to even have fireworks. But this happens, and not even in New Year's Eve or 4th of July, a random person sometime around 2 o'clock that morning shooting fireworks. I immediately went into survival mode, and I crawled from, I thought, if they're shooting at each other, there might be shooting, because this was right outside my window. And I just crawled clear to the back where a washer-dryer room where I felt like I might be safer. And I even thought they might even come through my house. And there's only one place on the door that's on the outside that can be locked in the washer-dryer room. So they could come right in without. And I was petrified. I was just, it sent me, I don't have PTSD. I never went to war or anything. I was not a soldier, but that sent. I can now understand what these soldiers every 4th of July. And I'm just like, And I had, before that, I was very anxious one summer, and we did have fireworks. That's when we had fireworks in our neighborhood. Kids would eat pop. I love fireworks. I love that. But I just, yeah, it's after a while, so that I could tell you that was so scary that I did finally come, I got to the place where I got out of that sleep state and I started realizing it was actual fireworks. I had a neighbor clear down the road that actually hadn't been sleeping. He heard it. No one else in my immediate neighborhood did. It was like, it's so scary. So that's my testimony on my experience with fireworks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to read? Or do we need to read?
Do you have any more?
There were no other signups for the, I will say if you wanted to speak at the Citizens Forum, I'll go ahead and allow you to come on up.
Thank you, Rich.
Kathy, appreciate your efforts, and the citizens of Newton really appreciate it too. Chief, when was the last time you wrote a ticket for illegal fireworks or celebratory gunfire?
For fireworks?
Or celebratory gunfire?
Well, it's illegal to shoot a gun anytime.
Excuse me?
He's asking that, when was the last time you actually wrote a ticket for that?
Okay. Well, last year we didn't write a ticket, but we've written tickets before. We try to do it on the educational side of things. So when we write the ticket, it's because it's a persistent thing that somebody's intentionally violating. And then gunfire, that's just illegal anytime. They're not allowed to shoot.
Does it require a complaint?
Well, sure.
Why? If it's illegal, go after it.
Well, murder's also illegal, and it's hard to catch that every 100% of the time, too. So
Okay.
Speeding's illegal. There's a whole lot of.
About that sales tax, for every dollar spent on fireworks, that's a dollar that will never be spent on Main Street. If it is spent on Main Street, that also generates a like number of sales tax. Plus, because it's being spent on Main Street, it stays in town longer. It's going to pay local bills. It goes to pay full-time employees, part-time employees. That dollar stays in town quite a bit longer. Fireworks are like lighting cigars with $100 bills. Cheech and Chong had it right, up in smoke. We were forced to sit through nearly an hour of the fireworks mafia coming in here. And one of the things he pointed out was use common sense and be reasonable. I would like to remind you just of that. We got 67% of the people, possibly more, that would like you to do that. Do you know the difference between 4 new tires and the like dollar amount of fireworks? Any of you? Mr. Mayor? Do you know the difference between 4 new tires and the like value of dollar amount of fireworks?
No.
Well, on July the 5th, you still have 4 new tires. It's pretty expensive entertainment that also infringes on a lot of people and their pets and other animals. I would also propose that fireworks in general have a negative impact on work productivity among the citizens, and you need to consider that. How much are we losing in productivity? Any questions?
No.
Any questions out here?
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
I believe the city might ought to encourage people to start making complaints, and hopefully the chief can do something about it. And I guess we'll be back in July, Mr. Jason. See you in July. Any questions?
No, thank you, though.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Kathy for not selling out to the vendors. 60% of the people wanted 4 days and 4 days, which the rest of you went with the vendors. People are going to buy their fireworks 4 days early. They're going to still shoot them. They don't care about the people with pets or PTSD. So I'm up here talking. It's just a waste of my time. Voters, we'll see you at the poll.
I'm sorry, can I have your name, please, for the record?
Ed Foth, F-O-T-H.
Thank you.
Any other? All right, thank you. Kathy?
Oh, okay.
30 minutes?
And for the time, yeah, maybe we could say 9:05 reconvene. We'll try and do it in 25 minutes.
Okay. I move the city commission recess into executive session to conduct discussions regarding an industrial prospect. The justification for closing the meeting is to discuss data relating to the financial affairs or trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships. Time and place at which the meeting shall resume is 9:05 p.m. here in city commission chambers.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
I just,
Call for a motion to extend 10 minutes,
15.
We said
15?
15 to 9:20. Same
so 9:20.
justification.
I move.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We are back from our executive session. They're coming down the hall where no action was taken. We are adjourned.